This is the William Experiment Podcast. My name is William, a man with a microphone discussing things on Earth and the universe. The Earth is a fascinating place, and there is a lot of interesting things on this little ball we call Earth. The universe started about 14 billion years ago, and the Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. Some people believe that humans started evolving about 200,000 years ago. It's just fascinating how life is and how life evolved. This is the William Experiment Podcast. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a few different places on Earth. Talk to you about the Nazca lines in Peru, Stonehenge, the island of Dolls, and the Niagara Falls. We'll start with Nazca lines in Peru. These are giant lines and shapes made to look like animals in the Nazca Desert. They were created about 500 BC and AD 500. In other words, these lines are about 8,000 years old. They made depressions and incisions in the dirt floor, removing rocks, dirt, pebbles, and exposing different colors of dirt. In 1941, an American scholar studied the lines in depth and flew over the lines and first saw the shape of a bird. Some people believe that the lines were made to pay respect to their gods. Other people believe that the lines were made to help UFOs that could be landing. Who knows? But the Nazca lines are very interesting, very old, and there's definitely a mystery to them. Next, we're going to go to Stonehenge in England. This is a prehistoric monument built around 3000 BC and 2000 BC. Some parts of it date back to 3100 BC. Stonehenge is constructed of 3 rings. On the outer ring, there's standing stones about 13 feet tall, 7 feet wide, and each weighing about 75 tons with a horizontal stone on top. Inside are 2 smaller rings made about the same way. Studies show that the material of the rocks are not from the area, so they had these stones and rocks had to be hauled in from different places, weighing 25 tons. How did they get there? Did they use armies of people? Was it extraterrestrials? Who knows? It's another thing that's interesting and fascinating about this small thing we call Earth. This is the William Experiment Podcast. Next, we're going to go to Mexico City, the island of Dolls. Now, this is a small island, a garden island that is covered with small little baby dolls. Some are decapitated, some with eyes missing, some with just limbs hanging there on the trees. And the story goes that the caretaker of the island couldn't save a little girl, so he hung the dolls as a tribute to the little girl. And people that go to the island today say it's haunted and they hear voices and children cry, things like that. But it's still there today. You can still go to Mexico City and visit the island of Dolls, and it's just a very interesting kind of creepy place to go. Now we're going to go up to New York and Canada, on the border of New York and Canada, a place called Niagara Falls. Now, Niagara Falls is a giant waterfall with a vertical drop of 160 feet. 60 million of cubic feet of water flows over the falls every minute. There's been people to try to go over the waterfalls in barrels, buckets, boats. Some survived, some didn't. There was a public bridge. The first public bridge built over Niagara Falls was in 1848. You could walk over the gorge of the bridge, and the bridge has been rebuilt many times, but now there is a bridge called Rainbow Bridge. It's a steel bridge built in 1940, and it's made of 2 lanes separated so that traffic can come and go, and you can walk over the gorge of the waterfalls. I think that would be so neat to feel that water, to hear that water, the rush of the roar. Back in history, it's said that Indians used to live underneath the waterfall down at the bottom, and apparently they were fat Indians because they lived off the animals that fell over the waterfall. Talk about being in the right place at the right time. This is the William Experiment Podcast. Little ball we call Earth has some very interesting places on it, and I'll be talking more about that in future episodes. And don't rely on just what all I say. Do your own research, find things out about stuff you find interesting. Life's a journey, and you have to grab it by the horns. These podcasts may be short, some of these podcasts may be long, but just know that they are honest and true. I've done my research on the subject I talk about, and I hope you enjoy listening to me talk about things I find interesting about Earth and the universe. And please follow and subscribe to this podcast and channel. This is the William Experiment Podcast. New episodes on Spotify and YouTube.